Hey, this is Chuck, and you are listening to Fans with Bands, the podcast where we talk to the fans and the bands they dig about life, music, and whatever the hell else we want to talk about. Today on Fans with Bands, we're talking to Glass Chimera. Check it out. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Fret Rescue. Located in Southeast Michigan, Joe at Fret Rescue has over 17 years of experience as a journeyman luthier. From basic setup to major repairs and restorations, you can put your trust in Fret Rescue. Contact Fret Rescue via email at fretrescue@gmail.com. You can also find them on social media by searching for Fret Rescue, @FERTRESCUE. That's Fret Rescue. Hey, this is Chuck with Fans with Bands, and I'm talking to Scott, Aaryn, and Dom from Glass Chimera. How you guys doing?
Doing good, man. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, hell yeah. And we've got a fan on, Jared, who actually happens to be in some band from Jackson, Carbon Decoy. Awesome. Fantastic. So I believe, and actually we were just talking before we got started, I think the very first time I experienced Glass Chimera was Fuzz Fest. And it... I got to tell you, the music, that rock fury psychedelic vibe that you guys have, that spoke to me, and I was just like fucking floored. I mean, fantastic. So I've been trying to see as much of you guys, and what was nice is that you were teamed up with Carbon Decoy, and then so every other time I saw you, like at Ogma, at Smalls, you guys were in tandem. You got different styles, but totally gels together really well. But anyway, I just want to thank you guys so much for being on Fans with Bands.
Hey, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, man. Very stoked. Yeah. Good being in good company with you.
You've done a lot for us, man. So.
Shit. You guys, I'm happy to, because like I said, I'm not bullshitting or blowing smoke up your ass. Your fucking music. I mean, there's a lot of great music in Michigan that I love, and there's music that I can totally appreciate that's not necessarily in my wheelhouse, like there's just some bands I really dig what they're doing, but it's not for me, like as raising the hairs on your arm kind of thing. Your fucking music does that. And so fucking love it.
Thank you so much. Yes,
you do a lot for this community, and you review a lot of really high caliber bands. So that's a great compliment coming from you. So thank you so much.
Yeah. We were trying to write hair-raising music from the beginning.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's the way to do it, man. That's the way to do it.
Just trying to disorient ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to ask you about, because I've been super intrigued with it from the minute I read the name, didn't even realize it was you guys. But how did you come up with the name Glass Chimera?
So there's two ways that question can go, where there's like the answer of like, we just picked two cool things that like just sounded cool in tandem. It's like there's different categories, so it's like thing, it's something, but after we came up with it, like a chimera is typically like a beast of three animals, and the glass element, so like the chimera of our art is a reflection of these three things coming together, because we're all in different weird little pockets that we all kind of congeal into what we end up being. So the glass is the reflection of that, if you want the deep one. Otherwise, it just sounded cool.
Awesome.
Also, too, I do remember we had one practice when we were getting things together where I was like, what about Glass House? And they were like, but glass. And
I like that.
It's
not so much.
I think it's stewed from there.
Yeah, I think I was on like a Full Metal Alchemist tip, and I was like, "Oh, chimera is a sweet word."
It's a lot of snowballing with different ideas and concepts, and eventually mashed into that one, and it just kind of reflected what was actually happening. So
Well, and
and
I like the fact that because chimera, I definitely I understood what a chimera was, and then the chimera can also be like, there's people that can actually be that two. One person has two separate strands of DNA, which is kind of wild. Right. So it's that mixed DNA of you guys, and the glass. Sort of like there's a fragility, but there's like this inherent strength in there too. The crystalline structure. So Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah, I've been obviously twisting this in my mind for a while, going, what the fuck does this mean? It's got to mean something.
This was meant to do that in a weird way. I guess it fell in our lap in that way. So yeah.
Awesome. So, if I have thoughts of what your music sounds like to me, but if you were gonna explain to somebody that didn't know you from Adam, what the music of Glass Chimera is like, what would you say to them?
75 cobra snakes all in a glass bathtub trying to have a conversation. No, I'm kidding. There is a real brainchild. Aaryn always says, like, what is it? Like, Volta,
like
a couple other.
Queens of the Stone Age, like, had a love child with the Mars Volta, and we had the drive of a band like King Gizzard, because we're constantly writing. We're flooded in our own process of writing material, and so it's just a lot of stuff like that. But like the whole goal is like, also we just want to constantly, we like the idea of like constantly subverting expectations to just where you think something's going to go somewhere, we're going to turn left and it's going to be weird. Like, so you just keeping people constantly on their toes.
Awesome. So how did you guys get together?
Yeah, wasn't it a band blender? Like randomly got together for. I think we were all hanging out because we had this house that we all just hung out in, and Aaryn came up to us one day and he said one of the bands dropped from a band blender, and
it was actually Hollow.
Yeah, I think it was Edison Hollow dropped from a band blender, and asked if we wanted to put on a show for it, and so we all just kind of like put together a couple of songs, and I think Scotty had some songs already written.
Yeah, we were sort of jammed. There was a collective house where we all hung out at, and a lot of bands were out of that house for sure. But yeah, as we managed through like certain different bands and stuff, we just knew we gelled really well together, us three. You know what I mean? So we jammed and stuff, but we didn't really have like a foremost goal at that point.
We had like we had like a song and a half at that point. We were because I've known Dom since high school, and then Scott and I obviously before Chimera were in Trigger together. So just like bringing those two together, I was like, because I knew that they both got it, where it's like I want to make some weird stuff. You know what I mean? And it was just cool. Like I brought two worlds together and made my best friends best friends.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So I guess we're a basement band at heart.
Yeah.
So we broke out. We broke out of the basement.
Yeah. I don't think there's any like dreams of glory, man. We were just jamming, just trying to make some cool sounds.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome. So, fans with bands just isn't about me asking questions. We've got Jared, and we also have Paul has joined us. So, Paul, hey, how you doing?
What's up, guys?
Shout out Moonwreckers.
Yo. Moon Boy.
What up? Awesome show on Saturday. Freaking blew my mind. That was so good.
Thank you, man.
It was great hanging out with you, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
the soap's amazing, by the way.
The soap. Everybody
What's that?
Sounds like that hockey puck smells amazing.
Oh yeah, dude, it's so good.
I love it.
I have one of those in here. It's actually over there, and every once in a while I walk in and go, "Man, what is that great smell?" I go, "Oh yeah, it's the Moonwrecker."
Hey man, our drummer came up with the idea. His mom runs a soap shop in Chelsea, and it's like, people like soap.
Yeah,
put a moon on it and make people happy and smelly.
Yeah.
Awesome. It tastes great, man.
Yeah, it tastes
tastes great. I need more data, man. That's awesome. We're gonna have to talk later.
We'll make sure we get a dossier to you about it.
Yeah, please. I need
the flavor profile, the pairings.
Yeah, the wine pairing is important.
Goes great with a lager.
So, Paul or Jared, do you guys have any questions for these guys? And if not, no worries. I got more.
Oh, I've got questions. How dare you guys, man? How dare you guys just make such incredible music? Like, it makes me want. Where do you get off? Just making me want to come back.
Well, we knew we were chatting with some mates about this at one point. So yeah,
no, for real. My first time my first time catching these guys was at Fuzz Fest as well. Actually, I know I'd seen what they were doing and kind of was stalking them on the internet, but I was like, I gotta get to the pig and see these guys, man. And like, without a doubt, they did not only met but far exceeded everything I was hoping to see that night. And I was like, I love these guys. I love them as people. I want my band to play with these guys as much as possible. So, yeah, man, I love you guys.
Yeah,
likewise,
man.
Yeah, love playing with you guys. Man. It's such a fun time.
Yes, man.
This is just a little context, like our contact with Carbon Decoy, like this whole thing was a long time in the making. We've been talking for at least the last year and a half about like getting stuff going, and then like this year just there's a crazy wave of really good like psychedelic like rock music that's just about to pop off, and like just watching the early stages of that throughout last year, and then hooking up with the Carbon Decoy boys, and their albums like crushing, dude. So good.
Awesome.
Yeah, Aaryn was talking about Carbon Decoy for quite a while, and I was just like, I have no idea who this is. Like, I don't even want to know because the name is so ominous. Either way, but no, once we met the dudes, it was just like match made in heaven. So that's a lot. It means a lot coming from Jared because those dudes rip as well.
100%.
Awesome. Paul, got any questions?
No, I wanted to thank you guys for introducing me to this type of music. To be frank, I not really spent much time in the psychedelic rock world, and I've come to find out that's a bummer on my part. It was a lot of fun, and I just wanted to just I guess geek out a little bit with you guys about your musicality, and the musicianship within your group is very, very high and very, very fun to watch, especially with the jumping all over the stage. And it's cool to watch. And I guess one of the things that, because I'm new to it and kind of unfamiliar, like what is the writing process for? Sorry to steal a question, Chuck, maybe.
No, it's good.
But like, how do you write something like that? Is it start like because it's kind of blues based, a little blues rock based, but then there's just like you said, like left and right turns. Where the hell does that come from? How do you guys do it?
So, I mean, we have a couple different ways we tend to go about things. Because sometimes like it's not necessarily for us like about the specific riff that we're playing as much as it is like trying to capture, I guess, the vibe and like the curve of the overall song, where it's like we want to start at this point and go through all these lanes to like, so sometimes we'll have to write a song a couple times to really figure out how the ebb and flow of it is to work and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of deconstructing off of like just an initial idea, because like the baseline of it all will just really start from like a few notes that just kind of chain together, and that can run into like a loop for a minute, and we kind of stew on it for a minute, like, all right, let's just play this and see what happens, and then have that, break it down, and run from it again.
Yeah, at heart, we're almost kind of a jam band. The band has went through cycles too. Like when we first started the group, we were very inspired by bands like anything from Graveyard. We mentioned Volta earlier, but like we really like even stuff like Earthless, like things like that really spoke to us. So we were like in Rift City for a while, and sometimes someone will come in with a skeleton, Don will come in with a riff, Aaryn has an idea of like just a rhythm thing, or I'll bring a skeleton in, but throughout different practices or even that session, if it's flowing that good, could like be written in that time. And then we'll throw it to each other and say, what do you think? Did it sound majestic? Did it sound Gideon? So we try to play off some of these musical things too, but I think at the heart of it, man, it's just like we feed off of each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we know the tonal structure of what we're going for, but it's always a mystery until it happens.
Yeah. We have like insanely long practices, so like we'll play our set list stuff, and then like we'll jam for hours. Like we'll just go and like just throw our phones out to record, and just record like a 20-minute thing, and then just like go back and be like, okay, what in that did we do? that like could be usable. And sometimes it even comes from stuff where it's just like it literally just happens for one measure because somebody's like adjusting, but it's like, no, if you stayed there, like that would be sweet.
Yeah.
One of
it becomes like the basis of the song.
yeah. One of our new songs that will probably be on the album. It kind of happened like that, where it came from a mistake into becoming the main riff of the song. Perfect. And then like, we started in the middle and then wrote the beginning to the end. And like it was crazy.
Mistakes, only opportunities.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
No, man, that's a great question because I think we even are trying to figure that out every time we,
I'm always asking what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
But I guess one thing that I can say is nobody, like, for the foremost, like, comes in with a fully written song because we know things that kind of happen organically because we all have something to say with our own input to what the music needs to be. And it's just a great job.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's so very cool. That's so cool.
So on that level of, because your songs are so, they have so many textures and so many different movements within them. And I have to wonder, like, when you're playing them live, how much of that is improvised and how much of it is like, this is how we wrote the song?
Good question.
It's on the night.
Yeah. I know when I listened to the Carbon Decoy Fans with Bands earlier, they kind of touched on like when they're playing to a crowd, maybe they might only have two people there. One of the dudes is like the sound dude. Yeah, they might not explore that many things that night. Yeah. I don't know if it works like that with us in that regard, but I know that like when the magic is there that night is when we're really feeding off each other. And I don't know if that comes from like a great sound or maybe we're playing like a really small bar where or whatever it is. But
sometimes we just get the spirit in us and like we'll all be come in like on the same wavelength, not to sound like a hippie about it, but like stuff happens and then we just start doing things and then noise happens. So
eloquently put.
And the majority of the stuff we try to plan out and have like an idea of like, or we got a set list, we got a plan of what we're gonna pack it with, but like there's always an opportunity to like find something, change things up a little bit, throw you that left turn,
So when you guys are doing that, like, are you communicating on stage? Like, is there a part where you're like, oh no, I need another 8 bars of this or something, and you extend a part? And like look back at Aaryn. And
I mean, that's not far off from the truth, but like we have like certain like nods that we can shoot at each other, or like, like if someone's near me, I'll give them a quick shout of like, hey, like what's going on, or like let's run with this a little bit. But yeah, usually we're just kind of going with the flow.
Yeah. Sometimes they gotta reel me in, dude, because I just get a little ridiculous. If Aaryn had a third hand,
no way.
Flipping sticks, he'd be flipping a lasso on me and fucking choking me
No
out.
way, man. I would never have guessed
that. But yeah, we just get so excited about playing music together, I think, and then I feel like the music that we've written, it has a freshness to it every time we play it. Yeah, in a way. So it's just like, it's nice to make it electric.
We keep each other on our toes.
Awesome.
No doubt.
That's awesome.
Hey, we have Earl has joined us. Earl, how you doing?
What's up, Earl?
What's up, Earl? I thought I saw his name up there.
Hey.
Come on, boy.
That's the boy.
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
hey. I was doing dishes and I was worried I was late, but I'm glad I'm not. How's it going, guys?
You 100% are late.
What kind of soap? What kind of soap were you using?
I was using Dawn, baby.
Let's go. That's right.
Okay, hold on. I'm lighting a candle so you guys can see me.
Oh, we should have done candle.
Yeah. There he is.
Firepower.
Hey, if it catches on fire, I got your fire extinguisher right here. All right, come on.
Right on. So, I have a question for the band, if I might ask one.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you guys have any plans for a tour or any out of state excursions soon for 2024?
Wow.
Ooh.
Oh man.
I can't speak too articulately, but it is being it's being intrigued upon. I'm inquiring,
Nice.
doing some
for
light
the
email,
listener,
let's call it.
for the listeners later on, I'd like to put on the record that Aaryn is stroking his beard ominously.
Yeah.
For the record.
It's the wizard in me. It's coming out.
It's the wizard.
I guess whether we like it or not, we're Midwest rockers, so we're gonna have to explore that venture sooner than later.
It's gonna come eventually.
So yeah. So we might do a little pocket hit some weekenders. That's kind of what I'm looking at. I really want to get out to Wisconsin. I got a lot of friends out there. We even maybe potentially have talked with a certain Carbon Decoy about maybe doing some light traveling. So
sweet.
You never know, but it's definitely something we're looking into.
That'd be fantastic.
Okay. I'm also super hyped for your guys's well, actually, never mind. I can't say anything. I forgot all about it. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe that's a question I can take over. So when are you guys recording music? When is that happening?
It already happened.
Yeah.
So
long time coming. We've been cooking up some madness with a good friend of ours, Jeremy, and we've been laying down some layers and stuff. So we took a certain approach to recording that one. And it was awesome. And also too, with Oxide coming out, there's some lovely stuff for people to visually see and to audio.
To piggyback off of that, I guess this is a good time to say we are going to release our Oxide session as a live EP, so people have stuff on Spotify to listen to.
Awesome.
But we also, we got it. We'll have an EP at some point, and then it's probably going to be an album after that.
Nice, fantastic. That's what I was hoping to hear.
Beautiful.
Because I'm still. I mean, by the time this comes out, the whole Oxide will be out there, so people will already be digging on it. So I'm stoked that that's coming out because I was looking forward to that tomorrow. And
I'm very excited. They have a lot of good bands coming out this season, and
dude, and the shots look so good. It just looks good
they
too.
Do.
You know,
those guys are professional.
Yeah,
they really.
You wouldn't believe it. That whole team is 3 people.
Really,
it's crazy.
Wow.
3 people.
Yeah.
Wow,
that's so impressive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I just feel like they're doing something really important for the Detroit musical community, and maybe like out from there it could be national at some point. But they're giving a great visual along with bands that have great material and that are just great bands that need to be seen in a different capacity other than just shows.
It's a very essential platform in the Asian media that we find ourselves in. So it's very nice to have something like that happening.
Yeah, for sure. And
I
think
saying that it looked good. Thanks for saying it looked good. When I saw
it looked great.
I was like, damn, it looks like KEXP.
Dude, it does have a KEXP vibe.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
But that's
so shout out to Irishman Film Productions.
Oh, cool.
That's
awesome.
Okay, that's who
doing the Lord's work out there.
Like you were saying, Scott, I do think it has an important aspect to just the music scene as a whole, because there's something to see, live concert footage, and that's what it's almost like. I mean, you guys are playing, it's in a studio, but it's still a live performance. You're going live at that point in time.
No dubs or anything like that.
Yeah, so you're getting the feel of what that live show is like. Just from the little piece that I saw, it looked like it had this, you guys were in that moment, as opposed to some bands, when you put a camera on them, they're like, the fuck are we doing? And they stop moving and they stop being themselves.
It'd be a nerve-wracking thing,
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And it looked like, I haven't seen the whole thing, but yeah, it looked like from this.
You almost have to go to this place of like distracting yourself from the fact that you're being filmed. It's kind of like playing live, but it's like, there's a different kind of permanence to it that makes you a little sweatier.
I just got to trick myself in my mind. I'm playing a show right now.
Yeah.
I don't even really think about the permanence of it.
But you can't feed off it of an audience, so it's a different dynamic, so you
feeding off each other.
Yeah. And we become cannibals, and that's just
yeah.
I'm just Those guys made the environment so awesome there. And you know what it almost kind of reminds me of too is, I don't know if you know, like when the Beat Club, like those early 70s performances,
Yep.
all the imagery behind them. It reminds me of almost a modern day version of that.
Yeah.
And I just think so many bands in Detroit get buried in the scene of stuff that it shit needs to be heard, man.
Yeah.
And like those people are really putting it out there so people can digest it, and it's awesome.
Yeah, 100%.
Fuck yeah. So I'm curious about your influences. Who were like, how did you each of you get into music, and what were the driving forces behind you wanting to play music live? Let's start with Dom.
Oh man. So I started playing music in like elementary school, I want to say. I think my mom gave me an old like 80s Hondo 2 pawn shop guitar. And I had no idea really what to do with it. And like we couldn't really lessons or anything. So I just kind of like played around with it. I didn't really know like any tunings or anything like that. But like I was used to air guitar and stuff when I was younger. But it went from that, and then I took like some saxophone lessons in middle school. I was in the school band. I went and I played flute and trumpet as well, and then some drums on top of that. And so I was able to like take that knowledge from like actually learning music and music theory and things like that and kind of translate it back to a string instrument. And just kind of like snowballed from there. But I didn't really have like any opportunities to play with other people until like, way later in life. So I just had all this like energy stored up from these years of like practicing different stuff and learning different things. And then I finally get an outlet for it. I was like, oh, sweet. So I just kind of like dove right into it, you know?
That's cool. That's cool. So who was, do you have any musical influence? Is anybody that like you listen to, you're like, shit, that this is how I want to try to be, or steal some of their shit?
Yeah, I mean, like early on, like this is gonna sound embarrassing, but I love Nirvana. I love like the whole grunge going on there. I was like a big Stone Temple Pilots kid. I like had Purple on repeat a lot of the time. I also love like Green Day, like a lot of that punk stuff that was coming out of that late 90s, early 2000s era. And then I got into Tool big time. So that definitely influenced. I love Justin Chancellor and his playing a lot.
Yeah.
And Queens of the Stone Age as well was a huge influence for me, and Caius. Those were big digs.
Hell yeah.
I remember I sat down and I learned like the whole first Queens of the Stone Age album on guitar at some point.
Oh man,
just
awesome.
With that. Yeah.
Yeah. Queens
Yeah,
of the Stone
those
Age.
were big points.
Josh Homme, worship.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Also Blur. I was a big Blur fan. I love Blur and Gorillaz, Damon Albarn, everything that guy was doing.
Awesome.
Big influences.
Aaryn, how about you? I know we talked about this before, but there could
Yeah,
be new people listening that don't know. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't start playing until about high school, but both my parents like were very music involved people. They're especially my dad. Like my dad was really into like 90s death metal and like hair metal and stuff like that. So like I was blasting Cannibal Corpse and stuff like that by the time I was 8. It was like that and Dokken, and it was sweet. And then my mom had an old drum set. I dug that out, and I tried guitar first, and it didn't click. Drums just came to me. I learned Enter Sandman, and then it was like Avenged Sevenfold, Slipknot, Metallica to teach myself how to play. And then I got like super into hardcore and punk, like the Descendants, the Misfits, the Ramones, obviously. And then, as time goes on, you find bands like The Sword and the Mars Volta. I mean, John Theodore, dude.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Zach Hill from Hella, Death Grips. And I like very frantic stuff. So especially like mathcore, like Botch, and like all those like Seattle math rock bands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Huge fan.
Awesome. So Scott, how about you?
Well, I grew up in a very musical family, and it was always around. My dad played music, and he was gigging since I was younger. And I remember just kind of being like, man, music's so lame, man. I want to be a hockey player. That's what I thought as a young kid. But then for whatever reason it clicked. You kind of go through middle school and somebody shows you an album and you go, whoa, this just wasn't my parents' music. This was something amazing. And for me, like when I was in middle school, the first band that clicked was the Ramones.
Oh,
my dad had a Moonwreckers around, and I just wanted to sound mean like that. I remember he tried to show me a song. I got so upset I threw the guitar, and I was like, I don't know if that was being punk rock or just being a punk. But anyways, so that was one of the first things that like I tried to do, and I kind of put the guitar away because I was like, God damn it, like I don't know if I'm not cut out for this. So anyways, I stuck with it, and I just loved all the Hendrix Cream stuff growing up. That shit just spoke to me as a guitar player. I was just like, oh my God, you can make notes soar like that. You can destroy your instrument on stage and it's okay. And so I got sucked into that. And then throughout all different friends that I met throughout the years and just different scenes of music and stuff, got into jazz fusion-y things. And as I got a little older, I met like different cats, and two of the people I'm going to mention are in Pepper and the Heavy Boys. One of them is Pepper, one of them is Richard, the bass player, but they showed me the band, the Mars Volta, and I was familiar with King Crimson. I was familiar with Yes. I kind of got into that prog rock world because of my dad's old albums. Yeah. So when I heard that shit, I was like, what is this? You can make music like this, you can confuse yourself, you can confuse people, but still make people feel something. So it seemed like throughout, after that, like finding stoner metal and doom metal and things like that too, like that spoke to me. It's like that shit's amp worship. When you're playing that kind of music, you just feel it like in your bones, right? Yeah, so like, but it seemed like throughout all the different friend groups that like when you're younger, you're trying to find people that you can just fucking like same wavelength, like Aaryn said, like what right. So after all those years, it was like, damn, there are collectives of people that get it, and it always seemed like people that liked the weird, strange, proggy, but energetic shit. Yeah, it was like that's. The music spoke to me kind of, and for whatever reason, Volta seems to be that like unknown language of like, oh damn, okay, they're ready to like throw down and get weird, right? So, there's been a lot of different phases over the years of stuff, but like, I'm really thankful over the past like 8 to 10 years, the friends that I found and the people that like share the same passion with me, like it's a joy. So. Glad I didn't throw that guitar down and never pick it up again. So.
How old are you again when you were learning guitar? Like at first?
I was like in late 7th grade, early 8th grade. So what are you there? I must have been like 11 or 12, I think. Yeah. Just dreaming of maybe smoking weed and using a whammy bar or something. I don't know.
Looking the delay pedal on and calling it art.
Yeah. So it's I don't know, I just I loved all the old rock and roll documentaries of like Hendrix and the Who and things like that, and I was like, okay, maybe if I could try to do that one day, that would be sick. So some of the roads we've had recently that kind of touch on that, I'm like, yo, okay, thanks. Nice to have it go full circle in whatever way it does.
Crazy. So Earl or Paul, do you guys have any questions? And no worries if you
I'm kind of just sitting back enjoying the show right now.
Cool.
Smoking Raji.
All right. Fantastic.
Hell yeah, Earl.
You look majestic.
You do. Yeah, you do.
You do. Yeah. You look very comfortable.
Yeah. So for people that can't see, so Earl's in a dark room with a candle, and every once in a while his cat comes in, and you see him just standing on the side there. It's fucking cool.
Yeah. I'm in a barn.
Okay, in a barnstorm.
Yeah, so my generator ran out of gas.
Hey, we should just give you an actual light bulb.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, yes. Oh, so if you guys could have go for it. Go for it, man.
I was going to ask Scott about what are some of the pedal, and actually Dom too, like what's your kind of pedal configuration, your gear stuff? Because you guys make some far out sounds, and it's from both of you. So like how do you work that interplay? Is it just from hours of reps, or like what are you using?
They're just all Boss tuner pedals, man. We're making all those.
It's very in tune. I mean, on.
Brilliant.
Very nice.
Yeah, we both have some magic that we work with, and it's great for us being a 3-piece too, because I feel like if you're standing in the right part of the room, you can really hear the stereo craziness of what we're doing. Yeah. So we work off each other a lot, even if it's not talked about. It's like
it's kind of understood. Like
TK,
yeah,
you know,
for sure. It's definitely meticulously planned how we set our pedals and all the effects and everything because we're constantly working on that interplay. I like to use a lot of pass filters and obviously a lot of fuzz. So does Scotty.
Yeah.
So I got the right times where I can like match his waves on his like wah and whammy that he's doing. So just patch it in where it's like kind of uplifting that or he's uplifting me in certain parts. It's just working off each other, a lot of that.
So I run 2 boards, and what I have on my right board, tuner, regular distortion, OCD, fuzz war, which holy shit, these guys bought me that. Like we had a little point where we had a little hiatus, and then we got together and they gave me a fuzz war, and it was like it was right. So that, and then I run through an awesome wah that I have, a phaser and a delay unit, and it's the carbon copy. So some of the analog delay stuff is just shit that we love. You just hear the chaoticness of it all happening. You know what I mean? So then I run like a looper and a tremolo and a volume pedal. So that's just like the basicness. But we love to get weird and do different configurations. But that's on my end. That's what I run. But Dom has another magical carpet ride for you.
Right now I'm running a Game Changer Audio plasma pedal, I think is what it's called. And that's been with us since the beginning. The signature.
Is that the one where you see the little electric bolt in it?
Yeah, we can see the current through it. Yeah.
You have a coil?
No, it's a tube that actually goes. It's a fuse.
Right,
yeah,
right.
The signal actually physically gets sent through it, and it does something in the light bulb, and it actually changes the tone and makes it a really cool and moldable fuzz tone. And then I usually run that directly into a high pass, low pass filter, which I can set to oscillate just depending on like whatever the tempo of the song or the set it is that we're playing. So I can like set it a little faster, set it a little slower, and that just gives it a nice slow creeping swell. And then I pass that on into another fuzz actually that can boost the signal a little bit, dirty it up some more, but like not too much. And then that goes into a phaser, which I sometimes switch on. I'll run that on its own. And that's out of the I can't remember what that thing is called, but it's basically like the dark side of the moon in a can.
No, that LF.
Yeah, that thing's awesome. It's a multi-effects box. And then I run that into the hologram microcosm. Yeah, and that is Sound Suite Studio. Yeah, there's so much you can do with that. That don't into effect.
It's almost a member.
It's
And the Pralines is one of the first ones.
Yeah, the Pralines is that low pass filter. That's like a 4-stage pass filter. So it like goes through 4 different channels of like a low pass, high pass, and it's just like dialing that in and finding the magic in there. So there's different stages where it affects your signal, and so I kind of like dial it in to make it sweep high or sweep low or do whatever it needs to do. You know?
There's only like 300 of them or some shit from.
Yeah, I think there were only 300 of those things we made.
So it survived a flood and it survived a whole lot of cosmic music. So that was a big job.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
Oh man.
A lot of science going on in here.
Yeah,
that's
cool. Awesome.
And then we do have a magical telephone that we use from time.
Well, yeah,
we could talk into, but this isn't one of them yet. Not yet. Maybe.
Yeah.
Magic applied.
Yeah.
It's pre-operative.
It's on the table.
That's right. It's on the table. So if you guys could go, like, take Glass Chimera anywhere in the world, where would you like to go, and who would you like to have on that bill with you?
Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Australia for sure. They're on it over there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Texas would be great too. They got really good site music. I'm good. I hope to get us on South by Southwest eventually.
Yeah.
Isn't there isn't Levitation?
Yeah.
What is it? Levitation or isn't it that one?
Yeah, Levitation.
Festival.
Yeah. That one is always amazing.
The lineup this year is
Yeah.
Earthless.
Yes. And I know like that band. I don't know if you remember that band Super Thing from Ipsy all those years ago. But I didn't even know about Levitation until Julian and Zach told me about it. And then I like kind of dug into it and I was like, wait, there's like newer psych rock that isn't like just dress up psych rock, but it's actually and they're like doing it. And then I like just went down the wormhole of all those Australia bands, and it was like, what's in the water over there?
It's that hole in the ozone. I'm convinced.
And like I said earlier, we all grew up with like aspirations of fuzzy, crazy rock, Volta, different proggy things. But then when you see a band like Gizzard or a band like Pond or like any of that stuff, like any of that stuff, you could tell they were taking inspiration from everything around them and then just putting it in the bubble and like having everybody absorb it in that way. And I don't know, we're just addicted to that sort of idea.
Isn't there some band? I was just thinking when you were mentioning some of those other psych bands. Is it Shown or I want to say it's a French band. Slit. Yeah.
Slit.
Yeah. Slit. Yeah.
Dom turned us on to that.
Slit is awesome.
Yeah. Fuck cool. Yeah.
I remember when I saw that. I would love to play with those guys.
There's one live video where I think they're playing in like a crazy, like it looked like Niko Tesla designed it. Like it's like a warehouse, but it's insane.
Yeah, he knows the one.
Their overall reverb sound is just like amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Beyond.
Yeah, and I think they came over here and I missed them. I didn't. They were here in the States.
I had no idea.
Yeah, but anyway. So who would you like to have on that show in Australia, in Perth or in Sydney?
So definitely like the OCs and King Giz, but I also want to interject. There's another band from Detroit that has just endlessly inspired me for a very long time now. The Armed.
Oh,
I want to play with, dude. I want to play with those guys so bad. They're so.
I saw them.
Yeah, we were hoping to open for the OCs back when they came to El Club earlier and stuff, and so we're gonna try to pave the way towards things in that realm.
Yeah, hell yeah, that would be fantastic.
Good avenue, I guess, right?
Yeah, I saw the Armed at Berserker.
Dude,
when they were at the Masonic. Fuck, that was nuts. I was like, what in the fuck is happening here?
So right before the pandemic, he had some friends at the Trumbleplex, and it was for No Rest Fest. And he was like, hey, we can get in for free if you want to go. And I was like, dude, the fucking Armed is playing. Like,
I didn't know who they were.
He had no idea what we were about to get into. So we ended up finding this little nook like above and behind the stage. And that's where we watched them from. And literally, like, they opened up with their song Future Drugs, and the lead singer just, like, he ran straight out and down into the crowd, and they proceeded to just destroy that room for 30 minutes. They were throwing the cases, they trashed the whole stage. There was garbage everywhere. There was broken tables, boxes, fucking everything, man.
I just remember that guy. They had like a lounge chair or something, fucking in the middle of the stage, and he's just sitting there. And he was eating a salad, I think.
And that'd be Dan Green, the real Dan Green.
So he's eating a salad, and the singer comes in and just fucking plows into this dude, and he had no idea what the fuck was happening. Gets his ass knocked back. It's like fuck. And I'm like, whoa, I guess I better take a picture.
It's so good. And like they had this whole like subversion arc where like in their music videos and all of their media, they would pay people to appear as them or have their friends do it. So like they did a Gear Gods interview for a bass breakdown, and I don't know if you're familiar with the Michigan photographer Camera Jesus.
Oh yeah.
He did their rig rundown for bass.
Yeah. Is it, the fuck is his name? Jeff? Fuck, can't remember his real name. But anyway, yeah. Camera Jesus. Oh, that's awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So,
Such a wow.
So we asked about the pilgrimage. Do you guys have any like pre-show rituals that you like to do before going on stage? Weed.
I stretch a bunch.
Yeah, we stretch. We've been trying to get better about stretching as a group beforehand.
Yeah.
And then when we elect to wear the coats, it's kind of like, all right, it's starting. Like put them on before we all don our instruments and, in my case, sit down and stuff like that.
Yeah, it is kind of like those starts in our heads in a sense. You know, coats come out like, all right, mentally prepare a little bit, and then they're on, and then we're on.
And then the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of shows open up with a nice ambient little loop or some good feedback.
Yeah.
So at that point, you get to like maybe rest a little bit. We all look at each other on stage and go like, "All right, boys, let's fucking go." Yeah, but the preparation before that is all the glamorous shit. That's when the photographer should be there. I'm outside the band trying to get my amp out. You can see my butt crack, like whatever. You know, it's not. You know.
Yeah, the glamours of playing rock and roll, right there.
I'll tell you,
hauling shit. That's what it is.
Yeah, right.
Loading and
unloading. For the load-in.
Oh yeah. So that reminds me, you do have the lab coats. So when did the lab coats become part of the stage show?
Well, the lab coats. Yeah, I used to actually work at a place when we were first forming this band. It was we all had musical projects we were maybe doing, and they just fluttered. We had free time. Boom, we gelled together in that basement, and it was magic. At that time, I was working at this place. I was a beard oil factory. So when I worked there, it was like Breaking Bad every day, man. Like I had a lab coat, I had a hairnet, I had goggles, I had white Crocs, which, man, I really wish I had a pair still, to be honest. Maybe someday. But anyways, so through that and through COVID, actually, it was like, yo, like we're getting rid of these lab coats, getting new ones or whatever it was. And I was able to get a bunch of those lab coats. And so for that gig that Don was talking about earlier, where Aaryn was like, hey, there's an opportunity for this band blender, I was like, I'm going to wear the lab coat. And I wore it and they were like, whoa, wait, hold the fucking phone here. So after that, like I got a couple other ones and like, yeah, so we started wearing them and it just seemed to be, you know, like
it's a sign. We didn't want to commit to like a full gimmick per se, but we wanted to have this idea of uniformity within our ranks, if you could say it like that, where it's like we're not necessarily like, it is part of the thing is like the whole concept is the void staring back. We're not just marionettes on a stage, we're also watching you back,
right?
And that's where the experiment comes in.
It's where the glass comes from.
So like, you know, we put the crowd under as much scrutiny as they put us under when we're up there. They might not be as aware, but just the general idea of, you know, having a uniformity between the three of us, in reflective of kind of like our approach to what the band ultimately is.
And plus, Dr. Dom is Dr. Dom, so we had to don him with a proper doctor uniform.
I am a doctor.
Yeah, and I do have to say I had the blessing from the beauticians because we had a mutual friend and band and stuff in Cass that I worked with at that place. And I was like, yo, like, what if I wore the coat for the gig? And they're like, we did it one time. Wear the gloves too. Wear the hair. Wear the crowd. I was like, hold on. So it stopped at the coat, you know. So I have to say that band at the time was a great band that was in Detroit at the time. The name was the Beauticians, and I had the blessing from the Beauticians. So
awesome.
Felt
blessing, not stolen.
Yeah, that was a blessing.
So, Dom, you're seriously a doctor?
Oh yeah, I got my medical license in Thailand for $20.
Awesome. So you're like the same way that I am a priest because I've got my Universal Life Church. Yes. Yes, fantastic.
I trust you, man. The word of God flows through you. I can tell.
I do feel the word of God and the hand of God on me quite often, but what can I say?
Divinity permeates us all.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, I was thinking with the lab coats, it also, you know, when you were mentioning the glass, because that's what I thought of too, is like chemistry, you know, that the chemistry of the music. Yeah. So cool.
Well, a lot of these things all like it's for you to interpret, right? But it seemed like for whatever reason what we chose, it's
almost a self-fulfilling prophecy in some weird way.
It's weird sometimes when it's just like I look back and I'm like, oh, okay, brilliant.
We exist in this weird uncanny valley of like, is the art imitating life, or like what's going on here?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
we're not always 100% in control.
Because it is nice when you go see a live band too, and you see whatever that unity is. You know what I mean? It might
Yeah.
not be through like a lab coat or something like that, but it bring, you know, it was just a thought of bringing us all together, because that's
Yeah.
what we're trying to do, is create something that's bigger than what any of us
Yeah,
could do.
it's more about the collective than it is the individual.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like over the past couple years, and definitely the past couple months, there's like a little collective and many little collectives around Detroit, but it just seems to maybe be bubbling a little bit bigger in a cool way, because
Yeah,
that's all
for
we
sure.
play with, like every cool band, and every cool band play with us. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, I've been asking people recently because I've been trying to think about it. I've talked to different people, and there's some folks that feel like there's not a, how am I trying to say this? Some people feel like that there isn't a scene, and some people, in my mind, go back to older scenes. So they'll go back to what MC5, or Iggy, or even further back to Motown, and think of that was Detroit. And I'm like, I feel like they're missing the point, because there's so much shit going on right now in Detroit and Lansing.
There's just a bunch of pockets everywhere.
Yeah, Jackson, Grand Rapids got a great scene. It's like
Yep.
all these like really great pockets of music. So one of the questions I've been asking is like, how do you feel? Is the music scene for you? Does it feel good? Are there things you wish it were different? Do you want it to be like some fucking music city, like fucking Nashville? I mean, not Nashville, maybe, but you know what I'm saying? Austin.
Yeah,
I think it
Yeah, I know what
deserves
you're
that.
saying.
Yeah, I feel like it almost kind of is. And like seeing this on tour really made some things about Detroit very evident for me, is that like, there's the East Coast, you have some bands in Florida, California, and like these little pockets all over the country, but like Detroit in this weird way almost stands on its own, where it's like there's really no room for outside competition. It's very hard for touring bands to come to Detroit and do well here, because we already have such a strong thing that like tends to compete with itself. I mean, every weekend there's at least 10 shows going on at any given place in the Metro Detroit area.
Yeah.
And it's all very, very different.
And I think that's kind of what makes the scene so great. It's just that kind of fierce competition between everybody. It's like you really have to do something outstanding to be, seen and heard in that kind of way,
Yeah.
And it's just they're just saturated with all these great bands everywhere all the time.
Detroit breeds a special type of band that you don't typically see in other places, like especially when you get to places like California, where everybody's just trying to get the record deal and trying to get the radio, where it's like, do you want to be Zeppelin or Papa Roach, essentially is what it comes down to. But like here it's like, we have pioneers like Against the Grain, MC5 back in the day, and these dirty like garage rock bands,
Which R.I.P. Wayne Kramer.
Yeah, truly. But then you also have like there's a great funk and jazz scene around here. Detroit hardcore is like a pillar of the country's hardcore scene right now. Everything that like Edgemond Printing are doing with like Tied Down Fest, I think that just got announced, but there's a lot of good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing I think we would like to see as a band, and even just our collective of certain bands that were within our thing, we just want to see everybody play together. Like, we don't want to see it be like so sectored off with certain things, man, because there's so many amazing bands. Sometimes you wonder, why didn't that band play with that band? I don't even know how it works sometimes. You know what I mean? Just the way you find yourself in a pocket of stuff. But we really want to break that mold somehow. I don't know how it can be done, but
I think
we'll
play with any. But
Well,
I am really like passionate about at least the kind of brother bands we've had of late. Anybody from Carbon Decoy, Pepper and the Heavy Boys, the Lucid Furs are super fucking amazing. They've been around for all
Solar Drip, man.
Solar Drip, those cats
from
Ipsy, Velvet Snakes and stuff. Cherry Drops on the uprise too, and like
Dunamis, Dream Shop.
Yes, Dunamis and Dream Shop.
It really in Detroit. I mean, this is true anywhere, but like a truer statement couldn't be said about Detroit, where like it really does take a village, and like even the outside of the bands. I mean, people like you, our friend Sydney, who does pictures for us, or like stuff like that too. It's like we exist in kind of this weird paradigm of our own ecosystem.
Yeah.
Like I heard all over tour that people like are afraid to come here, not because of the crime or anything, but it's like the it is hard to stand out here.
It is a crime how good the music is.
The competition is very stiff.
Yeah. Well, what I want to like, one thing I'm very passionate about is trying to get that word out there to as many people as possible, because I just feel like some people, especially people my age, because you get older and you're like, oh yeah, I liked that band I liked when I was in high school. Well, there's so much more than that, and so it just seems like, and Scott, to your point about like those kind of bookings, it almost feels like you should have like this mixtape mentality where you're like, let's just throw some different shit in there, right? Let's have a funk band with a psych band and a country band.
100%.
Yeah. If there was a festival realm or not even,
just book a night.
Just reaching right outside of the bubble, like stuff like that. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's why like with that Oxide Sessions and like those people are just doing something awesome where they're giving people music.
Yeah.
Maybe you wouldn't have listened to that band, but now it's in front of you and it looks good, sounds amazing, and now you're just into it. And like you said too, sometimes people lived in this realm of, in the older age, like the radio was pumping some good jams.
Fuck yeah.
In the late 60s and 70s when things switched over to FM. Things are different now, and you have to seek that music out. It's not going to come to you.
Yeah.
So sometimes when people are like, "Oh, there's no good music anymore," and I'm like,
just gotta stop listening to the radio.
Yeah, exactly. Force fed whatever they're giving you, man. You gotta branch out. So people like you are great to be able to give it to the people that didn't even know it existed.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think when you were talking about Oxide, it made me think of like breaking outside the algorithms, because there's a fatigue. You've got all the data mining has gotten to the point where it's like, oh, here's this for you, right? And it's just on, you may have sampled a few things and all of a sudden you're getting all this fucking shit and you're like, what the fuck? I want something else. And I think things like Oxide do that, because you're going to see different bands, you're going to see different things, break outside.
You never know what you like until you find it.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Well, guys, I want to thank you so much for being on Fans with Bands.
Hey, thanks for having us, brother.
Truly, Chuck, you do great work for this scene and the bands in it, the venues especially. Like, you've always been putting on independent artists, and with Fans with Bands, Life in Michigan, everything you curate is quality, and it's very much appreciated because it helps everybody.
Top notch.
Thank you guys. I've got one last question, and that is, pineapple or no pineapple on pizza? Dom.
I'll do pineapple. I love pineapple. I'm not ashamed to admit it.
Awesome.
Hey, sweet. Let's go.
I just want to put on the record before I answer this that he asked this question to Les Claypool. I'm going to go no pineapple.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think Les Claypool's answer was like, I see. What kind of pineapple? I'll take some pizza on a pineapple. That's how much I like pineapple. So
awesome. Awesome. Well, guys, thanks again for being on Fans with Bands. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us, Chuck.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Big love, mate. Yeah.
See you guys.
Thanks everybody. Yeah.
Shout out, homies.
Cheers.
Love you guys.
Love you too, buddy.
Big love, mate. Big love.
We'll see you soon.
Many thanks to Dom, Aaryn, and Scott, as well as fans Jared, Earl, and Paul for joining me on this episode of Fans with Bands. I've got to admit that I love Glass Chimera. I'm blessed with being able to listen to and talk to some phenomenal bands, and Glass Chimera is at the top. They're super dudes that are easy to talk with, and it was a lot of fun to talk with them about their music and get perspectives from Earl, Jared, and Paul, who are also in equally awesome bands, namely Carbon Decoy with Earl and Jared, and Moonwreckers with Paul. The guys in Glass Chimera have a new album coming out very soon. However, they just released a live performance on Oxide Sessions, which is magnificent. Speaking of Oxide Sessions, they are doing fantastic work showcasing local music. Be sure to follow their channels, as they've got a stacked lineup of music coming up for their second season. Anyway, back to Glass Chimera. Be sure to follow their socials for news on upcoming shows and the new record. See the show notes for all the details and links. Bands are nothing without you, the fans. Purchasing music and merchandise is critical to their survival. If you can help out your favorite bands, please do. If you're in Michigan, consider following the Playing in Detroit Area Tonight and SE for Southeast Michigan Music Facebook pages. They are fantastic places for fans and bands to support each other and share our combined love of music. Thank you all so much for listening. Be sure to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast service to get each and every episode of Fans with Bands. Spread the word by rating the show, telling your friends, telling your neighbors, telling your family, telling your priest, tell everyone, and leave a comment. We want to hear what you think. You can keep in touch by following us on social media. This is a Life in Michigan production. Until next time, be well and kick out the jam.